I think 2 more minutes and we can actually start, not to lose anyone's time. So let's Christian start. I think it's a good point to start. Like other people can join later through the webinar. And I'm happy to welcome you all to this webinar on the digital product passport question. Today, we are going to discuss this topic and dive a little bit deeper into the regulations and what's behind the regulation. So let's take a pre-story where it actually begins and how it all started. So here you can see, let me change. Yes, so here you can see an old church which belonged to a king of Egypt in the past. And an interesting thing is that it looks really great, but no one actually cared about the origin of each materials. So we cannot do this the same with today's products. So because about speaking about this sure, then archaeologists had to restore the chemical analysis. What is the origin of each product? And right now we are trying to change that. So with the help of digital product passport, all the information will be stored. I will give the word to Christian to jump in and maybe speak a little bit in detail.
Yeah, hey there, everyone, and thanks, Irina, for this interesting historic introduction. I mean, these days, when we buy Coca-Cola, we get all information about the sugar and all detailed stuff. But when we're buying a couch for like 2,000 euros, there's no information whatsoever. The context, there is a consumer need for getting more information, but it's also important for businesses to have more visibility into their supply chains. Um, and corporates to understand more about what they're buying if we want to make a change for real and accomplish some real impact.
Let's another slide. Yeah.
Yeah, the background to digital product passports is a bigger vision from the European Commission. It started with the European Green Deal with the ambition to reach the net zero. It's a net zero agenda, basically, to reach zero greenhouse emissions. It's a very ambitious goal, of course, but it has also been implemented with different packages, different umbrella of different activities and regulations and different stuff. So one was the circular economy plan, and as a part of that circular economy plan, the Eco Design for Sustainable Product Regulation, ESPR, appeared in 2022 or something. It was signed off in 2024, and now it's on its way to be implemented. Can move on. And there are a lot of different regulatory frameworks that are beneath and that are in parallel here. The Eco Design for Sustainable Products regulation is the kind of main regulation for digital product passports that we're going to cover today. But there have been a lot of other regulations as well that have affected the industry. So this is like the big regulatory burden that companies are facing today. There are regulations about packaging. There is the producer responsibility, and the corporate sustainability reporting directive that affects the clients of the producers, and there's also the recent EU deforestation regulation that affects everyone working with wood, and not only on the producer side but even on the retail side. It's important to cover this. And this all comes together in a bigger vision to actually, take a massive step towards a more circular and sustainable economy, but also as a part of this, secure, that there is a circular flow of raw materials, because it's like a resource that is scarce. So yeah, and these are the timelines. When it comes to digital product passports, which is part of the ESPR regulation, there's a rollout plan for different sectors and industries and products. And here we can see the latest status here that iron and steel will roll out next year. Textiles, especially fashion apparel, will roll out in 2027, followed by tires, aluminum, and then furniture in 2028. Furniture and even mattresses specifically, because it's like a big impact in 2029. And then there are a bunch of horizontal requirements that apply to all of these sectors that are in common. And more industries will be rolled out over the years. The idea is to roll out the industries that have most sustainability impact, or the highest emissions or the biggest material waste early in this process. And by 2030, this will become legislation.
Okay, so while Christian described clearly about the regulation and what are the timelines for it to be implemented, I would like to describe that it does not stop only at the compliance stage. It also brings new opportunities and new business opportunities for every business. So this is what we actually do at Lionwood.software. So new regulations are often a driver for something new in the business, which opens new opportunities. Even now and then, we get businesses coming up with some solutions specifically for regulation, but it turns out to be a value proposition in the future. So let's look at the benefits that customers receive in reality by implementing such solutions. So while the requirements are pretty clear and straightforward, it's about data reporting, traceability, sustainability, like risk control. It also brings some positive benefits for business and customers. For example, process visibility, workflow optimization, optimization of investment, for example, risk management, and other great benefits that it can actually bring. Okay, and so today we are going to discuss about the need to meet the regulations like DPP, ESPR. How can software companies create flexible system for industries varying digital maturity? And what does a successful digitalization journey look like, from manual Excels to the automated processes and automated compliance? And now we will take a step and introduce ourselves. So I'm Irene, I'm head of business development at Lionwood.software. And Lionwood.software is a software development partner. So we help businesses, we step into businesses at different stages. So whether it's consulting services or full design of the system, business processes optimization. So we are here to help. We've been helping businesses worldwide for more than the last 8 years, and we've built really successful collaboration here with Lingon, which is mutual, I believe. So I will give a word to Christian to introduce themselves and dive a little bit deeper into the solution that they built.
Yeah, thank you so much, Irina. Yeah, my name is Christian Listerus. I'm based in Stockholm, Sweden, and we are an IT company that provides an AI-powered plug-and-play platform for manufacturers for creating and managing digital product passports, basically. It's based on a blockchain infrastructure, and this platform allows for traceability from raw material throughout the product's life cycle until its end of life. And as a part of this, it's is supporting compliance, but also the creation of business value, because this is actually supporting and enabling a digital leap for the clients to go from traditional models to new data-driven business models and extend their customer lifetime. And when we look at the industry, we see silent, broken value chains with a total data disconnect between producers and the sub-suppliers on the one hand, as well as between brands and their users on the other. There's no upstream traceability towards the suppliers, sub-suppliers, and so on. And once products have been shipped, they're usually off the radar. So this means enormous amounts of material waste because there are no circular flows of materials, but also lost revenue opportunities. And companies are actually at risk of going out of business for either lack of compliance, as traceability soon will become law, or the lack of competitiveness when others go digital. And at Lingon, we give products a voice. By connecting the physical object with the digital world, we give it a digital life. It sets the stage for automated traceability and compliance and brings a contextual digital interaction point with users. So this can prolong the customer lifetime value and support new business models in the circular economy. It's good for communication and transparency, good for the environment, and it's an enabler for better business. And yeah, we use state-of-the-art technologies to power our platform, AI for collecting, structuring, and communicating data, the blockchain infrastructure for traceability, trust, ownership, and data persistence. And thanks to the digital identity, we can trace from raw material throughout the whole product lifecycle, as I mentioned before. And this traceability enables compliance with the EU regulations and customer engagement as well, based on trust and contextual interactions. And from a monetization standpoint, manufacturers and brands can reap the benefits of data-driven business models, extend their customer lifetime value, and make multiple transactions with any future owners of a product. And this is really the exciting part. And yeah, the data hub behind the digital product passports will eventually serve as the natural gateway between various data sources, internal as well as external ones, and evolving market requirements as well. It will enable new business models, regulatory compliance, and the next level of business intelligence. Yeah, and this picture looks very complicated and complex, but that's the reality for many of the companies that we meet. They have a number of different systems that they work with, and data sits in so many different places. Data is scattered, and there are also the future and potential data streams that are really relevant for business intelligence and taking a business to the next level. And we can naturally see how a DPP eventually will evolve into a very central data hub, where data can be dynamically structured and provided for different purposes, for new business models, for circularity and compliance, for engagement of customers, any customers in the future, and for business intelligence in general, because you can collect analytics and receive feedback loops from users.
And I will just add that even though any regulation seems to be pretty scary for businesses because it brings a lot of new overhead to their business that they did not used to do. But with Lingon, we are trying to make it as smooth as possible and to make these integrations like as an integral part. So at the beginning, definitely it will be a lot of unknown stuff, I would say. But in the future, that should definitely add value to their business and their value proposition. And as Christian mentioned, so even though it's going to be the regulatory, but it's not only about that. So it's also adding value because you will be more competitive on the market, like if you do that faster and if you start to implement it faster.
Yeah, very good point and very valid point. And I just wanted to mention as well, when you said that, that the key here is, of course, to support small and mid-sized and big companies in ways that make sense to them. So if you're a small company, obviously you have other prerequisites, you have a different knowledge level and so on. And here we can use AI tools to collect and structure information in various ways. And for larger corporations, it's a question about deeper integration into existing and legacy system environments.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and when it comes to the value of having these certificates in place, for the value for end users, for the customers, is obviously the storytelling part. They can get more information about the products that they buy, and they can take informed and sustainable decisions. They can learn about the materials used and so on. But there are also very practical aspects, like the direct access to care guides and manuals of various kinds. There is a direct feedback channel, so you can share your thoughts with the producer and the brand, but also the direct access to spare parts and the possibility to repurpose, refurbish, or resell your product. Maybe get the value assessed of the product that you have. It's information and transparency, but it's also a call to action. And the whole idea here is to make life easier for users, because it's contextual. It's on a unique individual level. So this is not on a generic level for any product. It's for the specific product that you bought, and that information will receive the manufacturer, so you can have a very contextual and direct feedback. Users don't have to search for information in 1,000 places. And for manufacturers, I mean, this is really a big step towards visibility into their own supply chain, and this can lower safety stock, speed up processes, and also enable new sourcing of materials. Today, we can see in many sectors that manufacturers have direct relationships with the tier 1 suppliers or maybe tier 2 suppliers. But in many industries, there are like 7 or 100, even 100 in the automotive sector of supplier tiers. And it's impossible to have full visibility. And if you don't have the visibility, you can't really make sustainable and almost always optimal decisions. So this helps very much in that. And there is also this this burden, this regulatory burden of having the data and access to data and collect the data. And it's important that when systems and tools are selected, that they can help out with analyzing the data that you already have and make that gap identification. And then we have the move towards more data-driven business models, of course.
And I believe, Christian, that this regulation also brings extra value for end users because every manufacturer will tend to have better quality product because you have to include all the data, and every will be driven to make the product even better. So to keep that data and to have a better product.
Mm. Yeah, and if anyone is curious about what a digital product passport can look like, then feel free to scan the QR code here. This is an example of an implementation at Johansson Design, which is a mid-size furniture producer in Sweden. I didn't mention that at the beginning, but we are currently focusing very much on the furniture sector. This is one of the prioritized industries. It's also very interesting because they work with so many different materials, ranging from wood, metal, plastic, textiles, and so on. So they are affected by many complexities and regulations. And products, well done, well-crafted furniture products, they can last for 20, 50, or even 100 years. So it's a great opportunity to interact with any future owners of those products. And those products, they have a very central place in people's lives, and they have stories to tell, how they're been crafted and what they experienced during their lifetime. So, and Johansson Design is one of the leading manufacturers here in Sweden with a European footprint. And this is like, an example of how their product passport on the Lingon platform looks like. So if you want, we can also show you the desktop version. Can you move there, Irina, Sergey, or no? Okay.
Maybe it's not there.
No, it's not there. But anyway, I think everyone had a chance here to scan the QR code. Let's move on.
Yeah, and actually, since you'll have the recording of this presentation, so you will have that QR code on your email as well to get acquainted. Good. So now I will step in and will describe how it goes, how it works on the technical perspective. So even though the product is blockchain driven, but blockchain is not standing here alone. So blockchain is just one part of it, more sort of the collection of data. And so, for example, to get the data flowing, you definitely need to have an API and integrations between different systems. You need cloud infrastructure and tools to manage the database. Of course, you need security to be in place while developing such application. And also a big part of the product stands on the user experience side. It's important to understand how users will interact within the application and to make the user interface as simple, as structured as possible for end users as well as for producers. So the app is not actually one part of it. So it actually has the whole infrastructure behind this. And these experts are even more important because that's where you make a lot of decisions when designing the entire platform. Throughout like creating those ideas, like how the application should work, new ideas might come up. So those that can add extra value. So that typically works the way that initial idea is one point. So it is like a core functionality, but as soon as you start building the platform, start testing between different users, you start understanding how clients will behave within that application, what they are missing, like what can improve their experience or their workflows. So it's not standing just with the one idea, but it has a lot of extra functionality and extra value behind.
Yeah, and let me just add, we are using the blockchain infrastructure, and just like Irina said, this is like a part of a bigger ecosystem, and we're using the technology because it's excellent for collaboration between different stakeholders in a value chain, and the exchange of information between different stakeholders. But it's also important because the EU directives, they say that the data must survive the businesses. So imagine you have a product that is on the market for 50 years. The digital product passport must continue to work even if the producer is no longer in business. So the blockchain is excellent for that purpose, for persisting data and creating this independence. And it's also good for counterfeit for counteracting counterfeit and piracy, because you have a proof of ownership. It's also excellent for more expensive products where you need a proof of ownership. And the Lingon platform supports that. So we have this as an infrastructure, but our clients normally don't care what's behind the scenes. But
Because
I just want
is
to.
that important.
Mm.
That's true. Good. So we will just discuss a little bit about how what the solution makes Lingon valuable as a product and what ultimately makes any such app valuable on the market. It just illustrates some of the more interesting points. So when working on Lingon, we had to think of how to organize smart contracts strategically, which means you establish the logic of what's on-chain and off-chain. Work on approaches to minimize what is called gas. So essentially the cost of changing the state of the contract and of course the security into considerations. There's also decision on the metadata and content to be added to the product description. So one thing when there were several mandatory fields and you know what format they are, and you're pretty sure you're always present. And another when there is diverse type of content added depending on the category. So what's actually quite industry specific because obviously furniture and jewelry or electric appliances versus clothing would have different fields to fill in the ideal case. And the actual impact, the choice of database management. Because the database, you also have options to choose. So you can choose between SQL database or NoSQL database. There's also a question of data delivery. So how the data are delivered to the customer? Is there a portal or a website or like something else like mobile app? In case with Lingon, for example, there is a system of QR codes and also NFC tags, as well as RFID for establishing product identity. So finally, integrations, because frankly, the set of extended integrations have much influence, the vision, the product, and how the strategy was developed. So basically scanning the NFC tag, you receive the full description of the product, the origin of raw materials, and everything that needs to be described about the product.
Yeah, and
Go ahead. You can
okay.
add more in terms of product.
Yeah, sure. No, I don't remember whether we agreed that you would describe this slide or not, but I can take a first stab on it. And basically, there are different ways of interacting with a platform like this. So there is the possibility for small companies to manually input data if they have small volumes, and But there is also, of course, the possibility of a direct API integration, and more customized on-site applications. And it's first a question of collecting data and structuring the data, and populating from a product master data set. You need to create that unique set of data that is connected to a unique item in a production. So it's very important with the customer order specific uniqueness and the digital identity of that specific item. And with all that information in place, the DPP, that certificate can be created, and by having that QR code or NFC tag, there is this connection between the physical object and that digital information. And then there are different call to actions, of course. One internally in the platform is about managing certificates, of course. There can also be the control of transferring ownership in case it's needed. Also to actually send messages, direct messages to owners of a product. To have this automated analysis of the data that is in this product master database to make sure that there are no gaps in relation to the regulations. And then we have the visual appearance of the product passport, how it looks and feels, how the storytelling is presented towards the user. And this can be very dependent on what kind of users you expect to have, and also different touch points, like if there's a service technician or if you have a corporate customer and so on, it can look a little bit different. It's a presentation of data, but it's also very much a focus on how this is visually presented.
And also, I would like to add that collecting those data, it brings you new opportunities, because you have data, and with data you can do a lot of analytics, prediction, planning. So there's also an integralness in terms of planning.
Mm-hmm.
And for also describe how for the user application value bring users, and it starts with the physical product they encounter, and which has the tags that grant access to data. So they scan the QR code or like the NFC tag, then the page with the product certificate opens, which includes the most important information about the product, like the origin of materials. So minor option would again look different for different scenarios, and with Lingon we had to account for them. So for the customer, the extra engagement include also product details, sustainability data, ownership, messaging. Yeah. So what are the core functionalities by user roles in this sort of solution? So there are the core that are driven by regulations, but there are also some additional features bring action. So for project ranging from core to obligatory, or like bringing extra value. So for example, the extra value that they can get about analytic trends, well, like how the product is scanned. You can also receive consumer feedback, reviews. So it also brings possibility to integrate your ERP systems in terms of sustainability predictions, like data predictions or data planning, automated alerts for recalls, compliance updates, or fraud attempts. And in terms of consumers' role, the core functionalities would be to scan the QR code and instantly get the information about the product and product verification, view of the origin of the product, where it was made, how how it was sourced, what of also access sustainability, safety, and certification. And while the additional features uh, add brand engagement features, you can also integrate royalty, promotions, some rewards from clients, because also sustainability metrics and sustainability is the high topic, right? Definitely that information to the table and people can fully
the need to promote the circular behavior is good for the industry, but it's also asked by client, by end users. And if you take furniture as an example, to refurbish an old couch can give the couch a new life. So having easy access to that service and some predictability in it, and having an understanding of what it would cost is really important for that to happen. And the information about how a product has been produced is extremely important if that's going to work. Because you need to understand what is beneath that upholstery that has to be changed for a company to make that cost efficient. It's also interesting for the producers because they can earn money again on the same product, and if they have good information about how it was done and which materials that were used and so on, they can provide this service. So these kind of things also to actually mark up a product as available, like the reverse marketplace logic, to inform the market that I have a product that is available for sale if you're interested, or having automatic as value assessments to the product if you want to sell it on a secondhand market. These are all different things that you can do to support end users. But for corporate users, it's also the aggregated data for their sustainability reporting, or for inventory management purpose, and stuff like that. So having this data available in a structured way really helps users, and it's up to the producers and brands to use these tools to engage, because the more users engage with this, the more feedback you will receive, and that can influence product design and also provide new upsell opportunities.
And as we spoke with Christian previously, so businesses may also need some help in terms of structuring data, because typically it's a missing point that smaller businesses do not put much attention into that. But that's definitely an important point in terms of growing business, becoming sustainable, and also be compliant with the regulatory. So we also tried to make a picture of the additional value of the features that are beyond the compliance. So horizontally, we can range the possible features according to how easy or difficult they are to implement. So that how much investment they require, and by vertically, it's the expected business value. So, for example, this more or less represents that the regulation require product registration, origin, display, and so on. The either side of this line are different possibilities. For example, we can see that marketing storytelling tools are maybe not as important business-wise as loyalty programs, because customers will most likely value the loyalty programs. So this is how it is actually structured. So you create a set of features that might bring an extra value for end user and for producer. And based on that, you analyze how much investment it requires. Is it hard to implement? Like, is it critical to implement right now, or is it a nice to have in the future? And based on that, you can map what extra features might bring an extra value in the future. And here is a great example. So we wanted to highlight that Lingon is already live, it is working, and there are already positive influence in Nordics market. So maybe Christian can a little bit dive deeper into this case, like how it works.
Yeah, so this is Anna. She's been at IKEA for 24 years, and but she's now the CEO since a few years for something called Interior Cluster Sweden. It's an alliance of small and mid-sized and some big furniture producers and also designers in the Swedish market. And there are similar clusters all over Europe. We've been in touch with similar clusters in 12 other European countries. There are active clusters in the Transylvanian cluster, the Bulgarian cluster. There's also, I think, a cluster in Ukraine, and many other international clusters that where these cluster leaders and organizations are working on educating their members and creating value for the different members. And so we're really happy to work with these clusters because these challenges or these regulations and all things that need to be done here can seem to be very challenging for a small producer. But there are ways of gathering resources here, and it's not always as complicated as it seems. When we start talking to producers, we quickly realize that they already sit on like 90% of the required data. It's just that it's scattered and sits in so many different places. So it's all a question of how can we help these producers, bring that information together. And yeah, we're talking to we are already in the market. We are supplying to some very well-known brands. There are a few examples here. They are all members of the Interior Cluster Sweden.
So something that looks really scary at the very beginning because it's something new, unknown, and you have to get deeper before you start implementing. In reality, it's much more simply, and it's not that hard to be implemented. It's just a matter of doing that, starting that. And good. So, like, if you are in the business and you aim to be compliant, so I think Lingon is a solution to start like testing, to start trying on your business. But like, if there is any way where you need some extra help, you need some custom solution or consulting in terms of integrating your ERP system or implementing ERP system so it's not in place. Our value proposition will be to give you a free discovery phase so we can walk through with you on that and discuss like, what are the challenges in your business, what is our vision based on our past experience, and how we can add value to your business through software solution. So business is a great opportunity for growth, but quite often software solution stands behind it and gives the opportunity for business to grow through optimizing some of the workflows or optimizing costs, for example, adding more value to the business in general. So right now we have a little bit more time for questions. So if anyone in this room have questions to me or Christian, we are happy to answer.
There is one. Yeah, shoot.
Yes, I'm actually very curious on, do you use a specific standard for gathering all data?
Yeah, we're supporting the GS1 standard, which is the dominant standard, but we also, companies that want to go for a standard, I would recommend to go for the GS1 standard because it's the leading standard for DPP right now. But of course, we also have other solutions for companies that are not in that ecosystem. going into the GS1 ecosystem also means additional costs and additional complexities, and that's not for everyone.
But is it enough using just one standard? Is it enough to gather all the required data? I mean, you have so different type of products. Just looking at furniture, you have sofas and chairs, which are, I assume they have completely different data.
Oh yeah. Good that you're mentioning the furniture aspect. So we are focusing on furniture because we believe, as a technology company, and being an early stage company, we need to have a deep domain expertise and really add value to a certain sector. But the technology is quite generic and can be applied to many different other industries as well. But like you rightly mentioned, there are there are many specifics in the supply chain and the kind of data that you collect and how it's going to be treated and evaluated and structured. But there is no standard today for for the full traceability and for the full data collection. There are different ways of doing it. The GS1 standard is more like a means of how you give a product an identity and how you trace that identity and how you bring information blocks together based on a digital identity. That doesn't automatically collect the data. It doesn't assess the data quality, or there is no quality aspect in that, and it's not an ecosystem that just works just because you add that digital identity to your product. So for doing that, there are different methods. We have a quite pragmatic method in our setup, and it's to start with the producer because we've seen in so many different cases that most producers already have a lot of the data that is required for compliance. Like I mentioned before, they have it because of history, because of because of customer requirements, because of other regulatory aspects. And it's just that it sits in Excel sheets and pictures are on Dropbox folders, and something is in an ERP system and other things are in the PIM systems and so on. So the question is here really, how do you bring this information together in a smart way? Once you have that existing information in place, you can make a gap analysis and you can say, okay, you have 85%, but these 15% are missing to be fully compliant. And then we can help producers to automate the process to call for that additional information from their direct suppliers. And if they can't solve it, they can forward it to their sub-suppliers, and so we can build out the map and populate that way. It's also a question of shared accountability. So we also look into how we can make the sub-suppliers share the accountability by verifying that the data that the manufacturers got is actually accurate, and that they also take over the responsibility for that information that they provided once. A part of the information is also related to certifications. There are a lot of certifications that are required today, like Ecotex or FSC for wood or so. And a very frequent problem today in industries is that suppliers, they provide a PDF of a certificate, but that is only valid for a certain time, and there's no kind of automated way of checking if that has expired or not, which is very relevant from a liability perspective. And this is something that can also be implemented as a part of this tracking.
And Christian, do you think there is a way to streamline this process from suppliers to producers to make it more transparent and easier in the future?
Oh yeah. I mean, there are many good initiatives out there. Some companies are working on data collection and start from the cotton fields and go the whole way up. We are at Lingon, we're following a different path. So we're starting with the producers that have this regulatory burden, and we populate backwards. So we it's a more pragmatic approach from our perspective and from the manufacturer perspective many times. But I'm not saying that one method is better than the other. But it's like there are companies like TrustTrace and others, World Favor. There are many companies out there that are working on collecting supply chain data in a specific industry for automotive, for textiles, and so on. And it's traditionally been a focus on sustainability aspects because of a consumer need and requirement, consumer power kind of, and the need for brands to position themselves in a certain way. But now when there are very specific data points that need to be collected, and they are specified for each product, and it's also specified on which level. Is it supposed to be on an individual product level or on a batch level? But what is in common in this is that it's normally applicable only to final products that are commercially put on the market, and not to the components and parts that are part of creating that product. So that's important to remember. Yeah.
Maybe that will be the future point, to collect the information and to make it obligatory about raw materials, about the suppliers, to have all the data in place and to streamline that process.
Yeah, and we are doing that today, and but of course this is quite complex undertaking, and it needs to be done the right way. And to come back to the question here, and by the way, I always say Alexandro when I'm speaking to you, but is it Mesesan that is your first name?
No, it's Alexander.
It's Alexandro. Oh, I'm happy for that, because it's kind of yes, yeah. So no, but the question was about if there are any standards, and I think over time we will see standards evolving around this. So that's also something to watch out for and be very attentive to.
As you mentioned, Christian, there are a lot of suppliers that already have a lot of information. Like if you buy upholstery from a company, they already are obliged by law, to make some tests. And is it resistant to fire, and how resistant is to different chemicals? I mean, this is just data that exists all over the place, all over the
Yeah,
place.
all over the place. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But this is the thing, because there have been and there are so many different rules and regulations and customer requirements out there already. So companies are actively collecting data from their sub-suppliers. But usually the normal process, even in big companies, and I've been quite surprised seeing how even big companies are actually collecting this data manually today. I've been talking to companies that are selling sophisticated system for automation and robotics and so on, and you would think that they would have this data automation in place as well, but they don't. They are collecting this kind of information manually, putting it in Excel sheets, and that takes a lot of time, and the information is not on the latest. It's always a risk of wrong data. It can turn out to become a liability question. So there are business risks in this, and it's difficult to have the data available in the right way, structure it. And one important aspect that we haven't touched upon at all here is the world is changing and evolving. We can see how traditional search is going down drastically, and agentic search is increasing. So AI search is increasing very much. And it's not only consumers and searching for a product or so. It's actually, if you take furniture industry as an example, producers are selling through intermediaries like interior designers. They need very detailed information about measurements, fabrics, yeah, different can be sustainability aspects as well, because they're going to plan an environment, and to get hold of this information is quite difficult today. They need to look through brochures. They need to connect to companies' PIM systems or talk a lot to suppliers. But now with agentic search, they can actually send out an agent to collect all that data. But it requires that producers actually have their data available in that, and in a structured way, so it can be, found by those agents. And so what I'm actually saying here is that if you want to stay relevant as a producer, I don't know if you have any producers here in the room, but a producer has to make sure to be found in the future. Otherwise, they're going to just disappear into cyberspace. That's what's happening. So it's really important to have the data structured in a way so you can actually support compliance, create your DPPs, but also to support AI agentic search, or to aggregate data for corporate customers' need of sustainability reporting or whatever it is.
Yeah, so while AI becoming like integral part of people's lives, I totally agree. So it's not only about regulations, but also about being active on the market and about like working, improving your business on the market, because without following the rules, it will be hard to stay in the market.
Exactly. Yeah, so did we have any more questions?
Yes, hello. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apology, I'm not going to use the camera, but really
No worries.
interesting information. Thank you very much. I'm speaking from Ukraine, and yeah, I hope that we will very soon have the equal requirements, especially about the furniture. But my question is about the startups. On your website, you say that you are very much supporting the startups, and on your calculator, the MVP is around 13,000, which is for Ukrainian startup. It's not a small amount. Your package is, of course, wonderful, very complex, and involves many stakeholders. For the startup, and I'm speaking about the one in the food industry, what for this amount of budget, what would you suggest? What features you suggest, and is the startup actually can afford you at the very beginning as a startup? Thank you.
This is
Was
the
this
question.
question was this question for Irina, I guess, because we don't have that information on our website. So I think it's referring to you, Irina.
Yeah.
Yes, Rina. Yes, I should have mentioned that. Yeah, it's too. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay. That's right.
Yeah, so we made the calculator available on our website just to have a ballpark idea on the prices and what is actually included in the features list. But we work case to case because software solution is not something that you can equally calculate on different businesses, because different businesses have different requirements, feature set list, and different goals in the business. So it's important to understand your business need better. So to understand like what are you expecting from that software solution to do and how it should influence your business. And based on that, we can speak in detail about the cost, planning, etc. So feel free to scan the QR code in this slide. We'll be happy to discuss with you directly, like what is your business need, what are the goals, what is the startup about, and dive deeper into the timelines and prices as we go.
Thank you.
Oh, we have Nerijus.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Nerijus. I'm joining from Lithuania to your webinar. I'm part of Forest 4.0 project and competence center. So we
Nice,
know
nice.
Anna very well.
Cool.
Yeah, very good presentation and nice talk. Thank you very much for this information. We are working also a bit in the area of this deforestation regulation, EUDR.
Yeah.
And I have always this question in my mind, but I cannot answer. Do you see some kind of interconnections between DPP and this ODR regulation? Because you know that the currently European Commission is trying to launch this information system, big system where everyone who is producing in European Union products related to probably related to deforestation should ensure their traceability by the registering all the needs. And this is also a bit similar, this traceability. Do you see the interconnections and maybe, yeah, it would be nice to hear about that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nereus. Very good and very relevant question. We've looked a lot into EUDR, of course. It's affecting many of our clients. Most of them, I would say. So anyone working with wood, or I mean, even resellers, EUDR is special because it's even applying to retailers. So the EU is putting pressure on the ones who actually bring the product to the market. It doesn't have to be the producer, and it's a regulation that requires from you to make certain risk assessments. So is this wood in these products? Is it from a deforested area? What is the geographic origin of this wood, and so on? And if a retailer doesn't do that risk assessment, they are at risk of having to take back products from the market. So they will put a lot of pressure, of course, on the producers, and the producers on their sub-suppliers, and so on. So it's like the cat on the rat, and so on. But it's EUDR is about risk assessment, and the DPP is more a transparency aspect. You have data you can, so if you are EUDR compliant, if you have made that risk assessment, that's an excellent place to actually present that information. And this is something I didn't mention, but in a DPP, there's also the possibility to actually layer information, so that some information is only available for authorities or for people in need of it. This is important for our clients as well. Some information is business critical, and not all information is meant for end users. And the EUDR compliance part is such a thing, partly, that you might want to have it available as data to authorities that are in need for it. But there are other parts of it where you want to actually position yourself as a brand, because you have done your homework, you have looked up the origin of the wood, and it's a kind of positive transparency, like we used to say, part of your storytelling. So there is there's definitely a connection, and what we are looking into, we haven't implemented it yet, but what we're looking into is to see if we can support with that part of the compliance as well, as a part of the gap analysis in data. So we're assessing the data, we're making reviews in our system. Right now is a lot of focus on, do you have the data that is required, and is the quality, what it's meant to be? But it's not a check on whether it holds up to the expectations or not. There you're still liable. But when it comes to EUDR, it's a question about, have you done the assessment? So yes, the short answer is yes. The long answer is more complicated.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any more questions? I don't see any raised hands. So maybe it's time to finish this webinar. It takes us a little bit longer than 1 hour, but if any questions appears after the webinar, so feel free to leave us those questions. So you have QR codes directly to Christian's page as well as to mine. So we are glad to answer your questions. Like we were also thinking of having a set of webinars related to Lingon and to data. So maybe we will announce them in the future. But right now, thanks everyone for joining the webinar. It was really productive. If any more questions appear, reach out to us. Thanks, Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Irina, and thanks everyone for listening in and taking 1 hour of your valuable time today. See you.
Thank you.